Greetings, everybody. I'm sorry I had a mishap. I had Rumble set up, but Rumble, some reason, will not stream. It will not stream, and I have to go back and take about 20 minutes to reset Rumble. So Rumble is not running around at all. It's not streaming. So it's my error. I hopefully will have to redo this video and upload it to Rumble. So my apologies to Rumble. Got off a bad start. Sorry about the delay. There's a reason for it, I'm just going to start out like this. What's going on and other things. So I'm just going to kind of give you an appraisal of what's been going on with me. I'm very tired. That's for one thing. Currently, my mom is under hospice care, and she is taking that turn where I noticed that when I called her on the phone, she wasn't really communicating very well. So I took some time this last week and drove over to my mom's place where my sister's taking care of her, and this headset is messed up. So I went over there, and I spent a few days over there with my mom in order to kind of, while she's still coherent enough, to kind of say my goodbyes. So I was able to do that and talk to my sister and everything, and rush back home on Thursday, and trying to beat a snowstorm, which I did barely beat a snowstorm when I was driving over Elk Mountain in Wyoming, about 20 miles west of Arlington, if you know where that is. Hit a whiteout conditions and semi-whiteout conditions, and that was a nice little drive. It just hit you all at once with huge wind, 40 to 60 mile an hour wind, snow blowing across the road, snowing. Car in front of me was about a half mile away or a little less, and I had 2 miles back, or a mile back, were other cars. So all I could do was follow the rut in the road where the other car drove before the wind blew it over, and I couldn't see the road. So I had my sunglasses on, which I learned to do so I could see a little farther, so I could, at least when it was a whiteout, I could see a few feet ahead of the hood of the car, so I could see the rut where the 2 tires marks were from the car in front of me, and drove slow, and boy, prayed and got out of there. I did not want to get stuck on top of a mountain in a whiteout conditions. That was my fun for the last week. It wasn't really fun, but you can pray for my mom. She's things are, just how it is into life. She is 92 years old, and she lived a good life. She's a good Christian woman, one of the best moms you could ever have. Kind of hard, I remember when I just talked to her and I kissed her on the cheek and said, "I'll see you later, Mom." And kind of hard to do that, but it's my way of saying, goodbye to you now, but I will see you later, Mom. And so it kind of hard on me. So I'm not in the most top of the form right now. So I'm just a little tired, and I had something prepared, but I really didn't have a chance to prepare it. But I want to go ahead and give it anyway. But before I do, I just want to let you know that. Also, I'm sorry about Rumble. Rumble would not click on. I have no idea. I put everything right. I did everything right. Had it all set up, and all of a sudden, it wouldn't come on, and so it caused an error, and I couldn't even get on my own live stream until I deleted or clicked off of Rumble. So a little delayed, a little tired. So I wasn't even going to do today, just going to talk, but I decided we're going to go ahead and do this. We're going to be on part 2 of the Fallen Realm, called The Fallen, today on the Christian Marauder. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So right now, folks, I didn't know if you really knew this, and I found this out. And I found this news article. It's the quickest one I could find in a short amount of time I could find. But in the Euro News in July 2023, not too long ago, the U.S. considers sun blocking to cool the earth, what it is and what does it really look like. So I'm going to quote from this article. How could blocking the sun stop climate change? Sun blocking technologies is also known as solar radiation modification, could theoretically cool down the earth by reflecting sunlight back into space. One idea involves pumping sun-blocking particles into the upper atmosphere. This process of stratospheric aerosol injection would involve plane spraying an aerosol-like sulfur dioxide into the stratosphere. The mist particles will reflect the sun back upwards, shading the Earth. The method has already worked, albeit accidentally, when Mount Pinatubo in the Philippines erupted in 1991. It released thousands of tons of sulfur dioxide, and the global temperature dropped by 0.5 Celsius. The U.S. and UN are keen to explore this technology. It goes on. The White House report published last Friday, July and Friday of 2023, confirms that the U.S. is open to researching these SRMs. The program of research into the scientific and societal implications of solar radiation modification, SRM, would enable a better informed decision about the potential risk and benefits of SRM and component of climate policy alongside the foundational elements of greenhouse gas emissions and mitigation and adaptation, it says. However, the report also clarifies that no decision has been made to establish a comprehensive research program focused on solar modification. So with that, I just want to ask you all a question. Have you noticed, has it been more cloudy than normal in your area? It's been reports of this all over the United States. I just thought we just had an unusual year here in Colorado. Colorado is extremely sunny. I heard that Florida has been really sunny. Parts of the Gulf Coast and Florida are been more cloudy than normal this entire last year. I took pictures of this, and we look up in the sky and we see chemtrails, not contrails. Contrails of a plane will only last a mile or two. Chemtrails last for miles and miles, 20, 30, 40, 100 miles before they disappear. And so over where I live and other places in Colorado, you can see, I could count 20 to 30, maybe even 40 chemtrails. And so what are they doing? Are they actually doing this? Nobody really knows, but it's interesting how this technology that's pushed by Mr. Gates seems to be all the rage right now. And all of a sudden, we have less sunny days. I know in the East Coast, you don't have too many sunny days, but have you noticed even less sunny days than you normally have? And what about the Midwest from Minnesota on down? What about up in the Dakotas? Have you noticed any less sunny days, more cloudy, more overcast? Have you noticed more weather phenomena happening and blizzards and stuff like that that are not normal? There's something not quite right. Could it be this SRM stuff? Could it really be that? And why in the world would they want to do it? Well, they want to reduce carbon emissions. This is an example of the wisdom of human beings. Somebody somewhere is inspiring human beings to explore this option in order to control CO2. Now, on the documentation for Agenda 2030, as well as they do this thing update every year, the United States and Canada have the lowest negative CO2 production of any countries in the world. It is a fact. And why are we required to make all the sacrifices? Well, the biggest polluters, China, India, and other countries, are verboten to do that. So you got to ask yourself some heavy duty questions. What is going on here? Well, it goes back to what I shared before on page 20 of this document. Program of Action, Cairo, 1994 in Cairo. This document is found in the pages of the Agenda 2030 as a reference. They're adhering to the definition of sustainability in this. So every time you hear sustainability, this is what it means. And this is implemented into UN policy. And you're probably tired of me saying this, but I'm going to keep bringing it up. Consistent with Agenda 21, the objectives are to ensure that population, environmental, and poverty eradication factors are integrated in sustainable development policies, plans, and programs. To reduce both unsustainable consumption and production patterns, as well as negative impacts of demographic factors on the environment, in order to meet needs of current generations without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. And it goes on to actions about governments at an appropriate level and international community, businesses, corporations will be all involved in this. So what is my point? It's 3.28 Section A, to ensure that population, environmental, and poverty eradication factors are integrated in sustainable development policies, programs, and plans. To ensure, okay, let's read it backwards. Poverty, how do you solve poverty, environmental problems? By eradicating the population. You need to real think heavy. Then they go in and this big spiel about women's reproductive rights, the rights of individuals with an alphabet soup mind to have more rights than you and to alter your body. It is a humane way to reduce the population and precipitates every Marxist, communist, totalitarian comes into power. They like to cause food shortages and famines. So what better way than to implement and solve environmental problems and poverty problems by eradicating population by massive famine? Not our fault. See, it just got cloudy and cooled down everything and we can't grow food. You're dealing with very sick people. So we're going to look at today the fallen realm and its influence on how these people think. These people have been inspired to think a certain way. And where did it come from? It comes from the fallen realm. This comes from Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12. Paul writes about it. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, against people, but against principalities, powers, rulers of darkness, and hosts of wickedness in heavenly places. This is the fallen realm. Where did they come from? Last week, I shared how they fell. There was a rebellion in heaven, and the devil threw his tail down, and Azazel came, and so forth, etc., and how all this happened. And so I'm going to take a step today and go into it just a little further. I don't have any absolutely no slides to show today because I did not have any way to prepare. So in first Enoch, chapter 69, it lists a bunch of fallen entities names there, and I'm not going to go over them. And that list is a little different than the one in chapters 4 through 10 list. They do have a chapter, chapter 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 list. It's a little different. There's 6 names on the Enoch chapter 69, verses 1 through 3 that are in that list, but these are different names, okay? But I found this one to be very important because in Enoch chapter 69, verses 4 through 15, it tells you 6 head honchos that are in charge of it all, their names and who they are. And again, Enoch is not canon to scripture. It gets convoluted in many places, and you have to do some research and digging, and it seems like there's some convoluted contradictions and stuff. And on the surface, it may look like that, but if you understand what the meaning of a name is and how it was used in ancient times and in some cultures today, a name expresses one's character traits, their characteristics. You named kids like in the book of Chronicles, Jabez, a woman who gave hard birth, said, this one causes me pain, so I'm going to call him Jabez, he who causes pain. And Jabez did not like his name, and he pled to the Lord, and the Lord gave him a new name, so he no longer is bound by that character. Okay, so that is the idea of a name from a biblical perspective, just to whet your appetite for this. So what a lot of researchers do, and no fault of their own, I've done the same thing, is simply I looked at that, took things at face value, took the meaning of name, and I didn't think anything of it. I couldn't place it. And then later on, as I was doing research, I was looking at this, and I noticed that the demonic realm has a military hierarchy. And that is one of the things that after I came back from my after-death experience, I began to process what happened to me. Is exactly what I saw. And one of the reasons why I want to expose this realm to you so bad and trying to awake people to it, so you can do some spiritual warfare against it the right way. Also have an understanding of why you're seeing the things they're doing in this world and how they're influencing people to act certain ways. That's what we're going to talk about today, because these entities influence people to act certain ways. So in First Enoch chapter 69 verses 4 through 15, I have my notes up here, so bear with me as I look at these. I am very tired. So anyway, and it says, verse 4, and these are the chief of their angels and their names, and their chief ones over the hundreds and over fifties and over tens. So what Enoch is going to do is he is going to list 6 names here of the head honchos over the other names listed in First Enoch 69 verses 1 through 3, and the list that's mentioned in Enoch chapter 6 through 10 there. I can't remember what chapter it's in, but there's a list of names in there with Simiaza and all those in there. And so these are the ones in charge. That's what I'm saying. These are the head honchos. You can call them the ancient primordial ones. As Mesopotamian lore are part of the 7 who decree the fates of humanity. But it only lists 6 names. And I know there's a 7th one there, and that's probably Azazel, okay? Now, I did find some fascinating facts about Azazel. Azazel is also spelled different ways, but Azazel itself, how it's spelled, Azazel, is spelled like 4 or 5 times, and it could refer to 3 distinct beings. Now, this is what confuses people. So Azazel has 3 distinct meanings of Azazel. Azazel's name means one who removes the strength of God away from humanity. And so there's at least 3 distinct Azazels who removes the strength of God from humanity. They seem to me to be different entities, and I identified at one time there are at least 2, but I just was doing this while I was at my mom's house digging around, and I was on the computer, while she was sleeping, and I just thought I'd look at this, and I figured, wow, like I said, one, this fits the title of the big guy, the big adversary, Satan himself. Also fits the title of the his underling who's under him, and another one. They all are designed to take away the strength of men. Okay, the Bible says a 3-cord strand. This is a 3-cord strand that one would not be the devil. It'll be another entity, and then another entity, and then it could also refer to the devil who wants to remove the strength of God from humanity onto himself. So that's what I mean about names. That's why it gets confusing in the book of Enoch. It's not scripture, it's not canon, it's a reference tool to help fill in the gaps, and hope I'm filling in the gaps. And so that's why some people say Azazel is the big guy. Well, it's possible it could be referring to him, because at least 3 distinct times Azazel is used, it looks like in the context it's speaking of 3 distinct different beings. That's what I'm saying. I'm investigating this, and this is a hypothesis. This is a best guess, and it can change, so just be careful of that. But as I shared last week, Azazel that's mentioned in the earlier chapters of the 21st name that's mentioned in Ezekiel 69 verses 1 through 3, he's the 21st. That is not the big guy. That is another one who was sent by the big guy to take the strength away from humanity. Okay? And that one, there's also probably another one named Azazel that is over him, is number 7 of this First Enoch chapter 69 verses 4 through 15. It is quite possible that's why his name is not mentioned. And so you have that, and also the devil himself could be referred to as Azazel because, like I said, he can take a string. So just away from humanity. So just take this all with a grain of salt. It's not rocket scientist. It's a hypothesis, and we need to test these things, and so forth, etc. So I'm just throwing this out there so people can think and decide for themselves. I'm just saying what I found so far, and what I found, it could change, and if it changes, I will let you know. But right now, it's what I'm leaning toward, at least 3 distinct beings. So in Enoch chapter 69, verses 4 through 15, it lists 6 of these, but it doesn't list Azazel's name. But I think that's the 7th one. But I'll talk about that later. And it goes here, and I'm going to read it. And these are the chief of their angels and their names, and their chief ones over hundreds, over fifties, over tens. And the name of the first is Yaquan. It means he who shall arise, or he who rises, or one who rises. The bright shining one, okay, would be another translation of that name. That is the one who led astray all the sons of God and brought them down to earth and led them astray through the daughters of men. Yaquan, he shall arise, the bright shining one, is the one who led astray all the sons of God, meaning the fallen watchers. 1/3 rebelled in this war in heaven, just as book of Revelation chapter 12 refers to. This is the great dragon of old. And he brought them down to earth and led astray through the daughters of men. This is the big guy. Is that his real name? Probably not. It's a description that he seeks to rise his throne above God's. It's one who seeks to rise himself, be the bright morning star. He wants to be the bright morning star. He is an angel of light. Okay. He wants all to worship him. Okay. This is the one that led the rebellion. So the names have meanings more than just a place name like Joe or Smith or something, or Don or Sue or Kerry or Biden or Obama. They have character traits assigned to them. So this is one who shall arise. So this is the head honcho. I don't think that's his name because we call him Satan, or I call him the big guy, the big dragon of old mentioned in Revelation. Okay, and the second name was Ashbiel, and it means he who deserts God, or God's deserter. One who deserts and forsakes God, or God's deserter. Okay. He imparted to the holy sons of God evil counsel and led them astray so that they defied their bodies with the daughters of men. So what you see is a rebellion. You see the devil casting these entities to earth. And if you go follow first Enoch and chapter 10, so forth, etc., you see that Azazel is in there, who's not the big guy, but one who's going to take the strength away from men, is in this mix of, he's number 7, okay, as I'm saying, but he's not listed in here. He's listed in earlier, okay, so that's what we see. So he deserts God. So this one job in the principality in the atmosphere is what he would be. He teaches people to desert God and be God's deserters, and to seek evil counsel, to be led astray. In other words, have angelic encounters. I want you to really think about what I'm saying. This is a spirit behind the spirits here that are, and under him are captains of 10s and 20s and 50s, so he is a leading principality. Okay. The third was named Gadriel. Gadriel. And this is a very interesting name. And someone actually asked me online if this was the big guy, and I wasn't able to answer it, so I'm answering you now if you're watching. And it means, traditionally, it means the wall of God. It actually is the guardian angel of Eden, the one who puts a wall around Eden, in charge of the wall around Eden. That's what this entity was. In Hebrew, Gad means fortune, luck, and destiny. And Reel means of or like God. And so he was the one that was to teach in God's destiny for human beings in this wall around Eden. That's what that name means, okay? He's not the big guy. I'll explain in a minute. And he says, he showed the children of men all the blows of death, and he led astray Eve, and showed the weapons of death to the sons of men, and shield and coat of mail, and the sword of battle, and all the weapons of death to the children of men, and from his hand that proceeded against those who dwell on the face of the earth that day and forevermore. So on earth, this deity, not this deity, but this false, you can call it a false god. People worship this thing. I won't tell you any more than that. But this principality, this fallen angel, Gadriel, was at one time the guardian of to protect. I don't know how to protect, but put a wall around Eden. So God took man and planted him in the Garden of Eden, and he was there assigned to protect that and help man find his destiny, and something like that. That's best I can do. But when I look at Gad in Hebrew, means fortune, luck, and destiny, like God. In other words, he's going to now change the destiny of humanity. He fell. So Gad means fortune, luck, destiny, and real like God. So he is changing the destiny and the fortune of humanity. How? He shows all men the blows of death. He led astray Eve. He showed the weapons of death to the sons of men, the shield, the coat of mail, and the sword for battle, and all weapons of death and children of men. And from his hand proceed against those who dwell on the earth from that day on and forevermore. So, in my opinion, again, it's opinion, and it's only, and it's my hypothesis that this Gadriel was under Azazel. Not the big guy, but the other Azazel that I talked about last week, would take the strength away from men who taught the art of antimony, beautifying of women, taught the how to make metals and how to make weapons. Well, this one's teaching how to use them. So this is an entity like a second in command to that one or whatever. He's the one that's going to carry out and teach that and lead astray women. Okay, he's not the big guy in the tree of knowledge of good and evil. He's not. Okay, he led astray Eve and women to do what I mentioned Azazel did, who taught the beautifying of the face and body and seduction and so forth, etc. That's what that's talking about. And for the children, the blows of death, how many times somebody fought over some gal and it didn't turn out too good? How many idiots are out there in the world who do stupid things over the opposite sex or whatever, or the same sex, whatever? They do some crazy things. They blow to death. They will kill you for this. And make weapons of war. So whoever this entity is in Mesopotamian lore, I'm not quite sure yet. But I got an idea. It's one of the triple goddesses. This maybe, it may not be. It could be one of the. It could even be Enlil. I don't know. I'm not quite sure, which would be Kronos, Saturn, and so forth, etc. It could be. But I don't know who this is. It could be someone else. I'm just saying, I just find that very interesting. And the fourth was named Pe Namu. Penemue. Strange, it sounds similar to the Mesopotamian Nabu, which fits the guy's character trait. So what is the fourth head honcho over a whole host of all these other entities, over the captains of tins and so forth, that first Enoch chapter, I think it's 6 through 12 talk about the captains of 10. So this is a head honcho. His name is Penemue, and he was called the scribe of God. And in the occult lore, he was associated with Abraxas, the demiurge, and then rebelled against the demiurge. Go figure. So he was associated with Abraxas, the demiurge, in Gnosticism before the fall, but then he rebelled. He's seen as a healing angel at that time, and his character changed to become the scribe. He is called the chronicler of Sheol. Okay, this is what he did. We're actually seeing this entity's work being played out before our eyes, and people are totally blind to it. He taught the children of men the bitter and the sweet. He taught them all the secrets of their wisdom. He taught them philosophy. So this is the one behind philosophies of men. Okay. He was associated with Abraxas before he fell. He's called the scribe but when he fell, he became the chronicler of Sheol. He became the one about teaching human beings how to write and language, okay? He instructed mankind in writing, ink, and paper, and thereby many sinned from eternity to eternity until this day, for men were not created for such a purpose to give confirmation to their good faith in pen and ink. That is a strange sentence. What's wrong with learn how to write and stuff? Well, there's absolutely nothing wrong with learning how to write. However, for men, we're not created for such a purpose to give confirmation. What does that mean? That means the following things. This entity would not only taught writing and philosophy, he taught the use of words, writing of laws, he taught legalese, okay? He taught how to make binding contracts. And modernize a term, he taught lawfare, to justify the use of power, dominance, and control and deception over others, and use the manipulation of words, also known as double talk. That's what the Spirit did. So you make okay, let's go back in history. Go over to some island out in the Pacific in the early 1700s or late 1600s, and you come across the islanders, and you come across they don't know how to write, so you get this document out there. The king says this land is ours. Sign. And put an X there. You signed it, so now we are in control and dominate you. We own you. We have a contract. That's what that means. It's the use law, contracts, to gain power and dominance over others. You don't believe me? Nebuchadnezzar made decrees, an edict, that if people didn't bow down and worship this big statue out there when they heard the music play, then they would be put to death. So the scribes of Nebuchadnezzar, the pagan scribes under Nebo, okay, and Nebuchadnezzar's name has to deal with Nebo. I won't get into all that, but and so you write this edict, and these people wanted to get rid of Daniel, the scribes in the priesthood of that, in the pagan world there, the pagan priests and scribes and lawyers and stuff. Let's get the king to put an edict so we know Daniel's not going to obey, and we can point at Daniel, and Daniel is not obeying you, King Nebuchadnezzar. So you have to put him to death. That is lawfare. That is the best description I can give you in the scriptures about this. There's other umpteen ones in the scriptures. You use lawfare to destroy your political opponents. You get rid of your threat. Get an edict out there. They did that with Esther too. the law of the Medes and Persians cannot be broken, and so that would ensure that Naaman can get his way and wipe out in genocidal maniac a whole race of people, and that was thwarted, okay, by God. But that's what this is. It's justified through philosophy, the wisdom of men. I want to attain power and dominance, so I can use law, so I can write laws in order to break laws for you, but not for me. And I will use these laws. These laws don't apply to me. They apply to my political opponents. And we'll use lawfare, legal things. We'll do everything under the bounds of the law because we write the law in order to justify what we do to get rid of our political enemies and their political opponents. Let's read that again. He instructed mankind in writing with ink and paper, and thereby many sinned from eternity to eternity until this day. For men were not created for such a purpose, to give confirmation to their good faith with pen and ink. If you're not of the right political party, you're the enemy. So our pen and ink is stronger than you. We make the laws. They apply to you. They don't apply to us. They apply to you, so we can get rid of you. Let's write a treaty. Let's go to a land and say, this land is my land. Sign it over to us, and the person don't even know what they're doing because they can't read. Think about it. This is where this stuff comes from. That is Penemue, okay? Describe the chronicler of Sheol making a contract with hell and death. He taught writing, philosophy, the use of words, writing. He taught legalese, lawfare, binding contracts to justify the use of power, dominance, control, and deception. And through the manipulation of words, he's also the master of doublespeak. You need to look up double talk. And, it is I can't do it, but other people can. And, listen to some of the so-called TV prophets out there. Listen to them. And all they're doing is double talk. I saw a light in the sky, that your days are numbered and you're going to have prosperity. There's a chicken crossing the road over there and you're bound to catch that chicken. But then there's a snake chasing the chicken. But the Lord says the snake will not catch the chicken. So you'll have a pot in every house filled with stew. And so you hear some prophecy. That's double talk. Whatever you want to hear is what you'll hear out of that. I try to do double talk. I'm not any good at it, but these people are very good at it. That's double talk. I like the Three Stooges. I grew up watching the Three Stooges and stuff. And Curly's up there in disorder in the court, and he goes, "You trying to give me the double talk? Do you swear to tell the whole truth but the truth, but nothing but the truth? Are you trying to tell me that you can give me the talk? Are you giving me the double talk?" Because you couldn't understand what he was saying because he was speaking so fast, And then the judge yells at him and says, "He's asking you to swear." "No, I don't swear, but I know all the words." Okay, I digress. Okay, enough Three Stooges for today. But anyway, this is the idea behind that. This is double talk. And it goes on, it says, "For men were created like the angels, to the intent that they should continue pure and righteous, and death, which destroys everything, could not have taken hold of them. But through their knowledge they are perishing, and through this power it is consuming me." Okay, so this entity who did this with a contract with hell and death, basically, is what it's saying. And so basically, sign on the dotted line. We weren't made to sign oaths to confirm faith in something, to be loyal. So we said, and if you're not loyal, you'll be smacked down. That's what this is saying. You're not originally designed that way. We were like the angels to the intent that we could remain pure and righteous. We had this new body, unlike angels, but we were like the angels in authority and power. That's what Adam and Eve were. But they fell. They lost the light of God, and what you see is what you get now, our fallen state. And this entity is teaching us how to use writing, laws, and legal and contracts in a nefarious way to attain power over others. We're seeing it used against number 45, President 45. We're seeing this. We're seeing it used against us. Uh, you know, uh, there is George Soros is in the process of buying out the second largest radio chain of over 200 radio stations. This is in the news. You can look it up. It's in the New York Post. And when you look at that and you go, okay, inside those contracts to ABC, NBC, all these things that get Soros's money, you can't criticize Soros. You can't criticize Klaus Schwab. You can't criticize the Democrats. You know, there's a disclaimer. If you do, we're going to sue the bejeebies out of you. And so the news is no longer a free news. This is evidence of that spirit. What did Paul say? We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers, rulers of darkness, and hosts of wickedness in heavenly places. And that is exactly what we're seeing. We have evidence of it right before our eyes. People motivated to do things in business this way. If you like George Soros, I don't know why you would, but he's the one that opened borders. It's all about death. No more I will say about that. It goes on in verse 12. It says, and the fifth was named Casdia. I think I'm saying that. Casdia. That name means over the inhabitants of the Chaldeans. That's what it means. The one who lies or speaks lies or enchants. The Casdia. You know, this is he who showed the children of men all the wicked smitings of spirits and demons, and the smitings of the embryo in the womb, that it may pass away, and the smiting of the soul, and the bites of the serpent, and the smitings which befall through noontide heat, the son of a serpent named Tabaet. Remember, the son means one who carries out the will of the serpent named Tabaet. I will talk about that entity later at another time. So this one's related to the land of the Chaldeans. It's the one who lies, teaches lies and enchantments, so forth, and how to get spirits to smite and do things for you. In other words, command spirits to do things for you, and demons. The smiting of the embryo in the womb. You don't need me to go any elaborate. In other words, any more on that. You understand what this is happening as we speak. Part of UN policy under the women's rights of reproduction there. They smite the embryo in the womb that it may pass away. And the smiting of the soul. In other words, destroy your soul, your hopes, and your dreams. The bites of a serpent, get rid of you right away. The smitings which befall through noontide heat, in other words, dehydration. So this is a nasty one. This is a nasty principality who teaches how to manipulate spirits to do war against other people, and it requires a sacrifice of an embryo in the womb to do so, and that it may pass away. It also requires to destroy other people's hopes and dreams, to come under the sway of the rising one who wants to be the bright morning star, who wants to exalt his throne above God's. So you come under that. It's one who teaches how to destroy and destruct and help destruct humanity and the ways of God. Okay? Nasty thing. And it goes on. This is the task of Caspiel, one who uses sorcery and lies, or one who stretches God's words into lies through sorcery. That's the best definition I could come up with after looking at it and compiling it all together from various sources. He's the chief of the oath which he showed to the holy ones when he dwelt high above in glory, and its name is Goodness. And this angel requested Michael to show him the hidden name, that he might enunciate it in the oath, so that those might quake before the name and the oath, who revealed all that was secret to the children of men. This is the power of this oath, for it is powerful and strong. And he placed this oath, Aki, means secrets of the cycles of the earth, in the hands of Michael. Now, I'm not going to go through what all that means, and you can read it yourself and get better scholars than I can. But he was the oath keeper. He's the one that sealed the oath. This is probably the entity that on Mount Hermon sealed this oath under using God's most holy name. It's the only thing I can say. That's what it sounds like to me. This is a hypothesis. This is just a hypothesis. And he showed the holy ones dwelt on high above in glory. So before he fell, he's the one that sealed things, okay, for God. Oaths and stuff. In other words, angels would be sent to do a task. He would seal it. This is your task. You go. That's the idea. God wants you to, there's a universe over there, straighten it out, angel, go over there and make sure the stars in the right place. You have liberty to do however you want, but, just range them right and come back and tell me how you did and what you did. Okay, so that's the kind of thing. We see that again, that type of heavenly court scene when Ahab called for the prophet to in Israel. He didn't like him, Nahum, I can't remember his name. And so the prophet says, I saw God in his holy court or temple, and there was a court in session and so forth, and he was going to send a lying spirit to prophesy to Ahab through all the prophets of Baal that were still alive then, to tell Ahab to go to war and where he would be killed. And God liked that idea, and so a lying spirit was sent to him, or spirit who was going to tell lies in order to get rid of Ahab. So Casbiel rebelled against God. He's the chief of the oath. He needed the name of God to seal the oath on Mount Hermon. This is my hypothesis. This is probably the entity. So you have one I just mentioned, Nabu, in Mesopotamian lore, the scribe who taught humanity writing is how to do lawfare and make edicts and get what you want and bump off your opposition doing that. And this one seals the deed, is what it's saying, through sorcery, divination, so forth, etc. And so if you look at it, it's interesting. The chief oath which he showed to the holy ones, he dwelt on high above in glory, and his name is Bikwa, it means goodness. This angel requested Michael to show him the hidden name, that he might enunciate it in an oath, so that those who quake before the name and the oath who received it, and it's powerful and strong. He placed this oath, Ake, means the secrets of the cycles of the earth. So basically, you can control your world through the cycles, the seasons of the earth. So you can control you can control the atmosphere of the earth, human beings. You can spray stuff into the atmosphere to save the earth, for sustainability's sake. Because we got to get rid of excess population, Yeah, think about it. Think about it. Think about that, man. Just think about that. Here we are. We're seeing these head principalities at work today. And we read this and we pass it off all as myth and means nothing. But when you break it down and you really look at it, and you put two and two together, you pray about it, you seek the Lord, what does all this mean? Because I can read it just in a scholarly format and just pass it off as meaningless nothing. I could. It's just, we don't know, we can leave it alone, we just, like that. No, I just have to do a little more digging. And so I have to go to Ephesians 6:12. There are principalities, powers, rulers of darkness, and host of wickedness in heavenly places. And so these are some head principalities in charge of the other ones. These also match the Mesopotamian, the 7 Akaplu. Akaplu are the sages, are the gods who decree the destinies of human beings. They match those and match their cohorts as well. They're second in commands. You got to think of the ancient pagan religions and their gods as a military hierarchy. You got to think of the devils. 1/3 of the fallen watchers are in a military hierarchy. You have your 5-star generals. So I'm talking 5-star generals here. These were the top 6. And I think the 7th would be the Azazel, who I spoke about last week, would be one of those. He'd probably be number 7. And so you got all those entities there, and that's who they are. Another one, that one I just was talking about, could very well be Enlil, because it talks about smiting of the wound and doing harm to kids and so forth, etc. Would fit Enlil's profile in Mesopotamian lore, or Saturn's, or Kronos. So it just matches the description of the profile. It just does. So it's probably, the top 7 who decree the fates of humanity, as the people who study ancient mythology and Mesopotamian mythology would call it. The 7 who decree the fates of men are the 7 sages that came to earth. These are the head honchos. They're in charge. And Book of Enoch confirms it with different names. And the name meanings match the profile of what they did and the storylines of these things. So, it is an amazing thing. It is a hypothesis. We need to treat it as that. It can be subject to change, so don't take everything as you just know that it is subject to change, and I could also be very right as well. And I could be right, but it needs to be tweaked a little bit more. I don't know. I'm working on it, and I'm giving it to you as I am. So that's how the fallen realm works. That's what I want to end on today. Again, I want to just, if you like, this is the companion book to the Book of Enoch by Dr. Michael Heiser. The late Dr. Michael Heiser I suggest, if you don't have this book, it's a nice book to have. It tells you the meaning of a lot of these names, and Michael Heiser did an excellent job and study and broke it down for you. It's probably one of the best out there. And there's others too. Dr. Ken Johnson is doing a series right now on the fallen watchers in the Book of Enoch, and excellent stuff. So I suggest, you can see those in the description, and I would suggest you go there and look at some of those. So that I am going to go ahead and sign off. And if you'd like to support what I do, you can just look on the screen and it's all there. And you guys be blessed in Jesus' name. And with that, I'm going to go to the live chat before I get too tired and fall asleep. Okay. Cobb says, they've been attempting to block the sky for years with chemtrails, and that is true. Like I said, how the entities use writing, that one inspires its lower ranked minions to teach people how to use writings, to just saying, well, we have this idea of using chemtrails, but we're not really using them. That's double talk. Yeah, we're looking into it, but we're not going to use it. We're investigating it. That is double talk. That is double talk. And so that article that I quoted from uses double talk in it. I forgot to mention that, but that's what they're doing. And I'm sure all of you can put it in the comments. Have you seen chemtrails? Not contrails. Contrails disappear. Chemtrails, miles and miles and miles. Tracy says, I saw chemtrails big time in Florida while I was down there visiting last December and January. Every time the sun comes up in New York, they start spraying and block out the sun. Same here in Colorado. I haven't seen, I've seen some bad weather here and bad weather patterns over the years. I lived in Colorado, and we have patterns where it can be more cloudy than normal. But this is unusual. This is unusual. It's just because of the chemtrails, and then seeing the clouds and very little sun. And then the weather gets bad in the Midwest after they spray it. I just read Christina Peck's, Josh Peck's wife's Facebook page. She evidently was driving somewhere and got stuck in a snowdrift or something. And you're getting some bad weather. Yeah, I always get bad weather, but they're getting more of it. You spray it here over the Rocky Mountains and you guys get hit with it. So just go figure. Again, Jody says it's been a lot cloudier than normal in my area, a lot. This is all over the United States. I also heard in Canada, people around the world, around the entire world, have noticed this too. I haven't heard anything from India yet, or anything like that, and some of the Pacific Islands, but or Indonesia, but it rains a lot there anyway. But has it been more or less sunny than normal? I don't know. Yep. Cav says they sprayed about 15 of these things in the sky the other day. They dissipate, spread out, and look like thin clouds. That's exactly right. And I'll check this out. Jody says they're projecting cloud cover for April 8th when we're supposed to be under the path of the totality of a solar eclipse. Interesting. It's interesting. Remember, I just read you one of these deities. It was to teach the cycles of the earth, how to control the weather, how to control seasons. I mean, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers, and rulers of darkness and hosts of wickedness in heavenly places. It is a real deal. And they got a lot of human minions who want to do it. They totally have them under their thumb. Paul understood that. The church largely ignores it, unfortunately. And Kyle says, yeah, they've been doing it before Bill Gates. Yep, they've been doing this for some time. It was when I started taking track of this, it was right around Mount Pinatubo time. And I noticed that volcanoes and the sulfur dioxide would cool the atmosphere. When Krakatoa went off in the late 1800s there in Indonesia, the temperatures, we had a time when there was no summer. And there was very scarce food as well. And so it's the same principle. They know about this, and so they've been doing it. They've been doing cloud seeding for a long time. Back in probably in the 50s or so, with the advent of jet aircraft, they get up high enough to spray the iodine, or they probably did it, experiment with it, with the silver nitrate, whatever it is, into the clouds in order to make the clouds, seed clouds in order to make it rain. So they know the technology's been there, and yes, they've been using it a lot longer than Bill Gates. The difference with Bill Gates, he has the money to fund it and to bribe people to do it and get people to do it under a contract. Sign your name here, you will do this, we'll give you X amount of dollars. Money talks, contract signed, you got to do it, or I'll sue the bejeebies out of you. So it all makes sense to me because it lines up with those 6 deities not deities, these false gods, these fallen watchers, these principalities. It matches them, what they do and what they taught humanity. What they don't tell you, where the carbon emission producers they want to eliminate. They actually are letting you know who they are. Your local farmers. Too much fertilizer. Your cow has too much methane. We got to get rid of cows. We got to get rid of the farmers. Have industrial plants. Will feed everybody in a managed world. As Klaus Schwab would say. As Alice Bailey would write it was Sarah McKinney, right? We will have a managed world. because the peons, us serfs, are mismanaging the world's resources. We're mismanaging it. So we have a managed world. We need to reduce the CO2 in order to save the planet, to reduce the world and help eradicate population. Too many peons out there, too many serfs. The elite need room to play and flex their muscles and have fun. You serfs are in the way. That's how these people think. I'm sorry. I mean, in 1776, America rebelled against the snotty attitudes that was against us back then. So they want to eliminate people. They want to eliminate farmers. They want to eliminate cars. They want you to just net zero thing. Even though plants will take carbon dioxide and turn it into O2, oxygen. Shouldn't we be planting more trees? Wouldn't that be more beneficial by planting more trees, more shrubbery, more greenery? Wouldn't that make a lot more sense? Have more corn and vegetables grown, help reduce the CO2 because plants convert CO2 into oxygen. Oh, we can't tell the elites that. No. We peons, even though we had college education, we had biology, we had sciences, and it was mandatory that we take this stuff. We know about the Krebs cycle. We know about all this stuff. We know about how all this stuff works. No, we don't know anything. Forget that the United States and Canada are the least in the negative range of producing CO2 because of our technology has helped reduce it to a healthier level. No, we can't have that. We got to get rid of this, have a managed world. I guess who they are listening to, and it ain't us. It's these principalities, the philosophies. Makes sense. It's a really good book. A reference to fallen angels and regular angels is a book by Gustav Davidson, 1973. It's a dictionary of angels. I don't have the book. I can find it online. I think I might have downloaded it. Possibly. I can't say for sure if I did. It's been a while since I looked at it. But most of what you find online is from that book on these angels, fallen angel names and stuff. Yeah, that's one if you want to pick it up. If you can find it still, if you let me know if you can still find it. I think you can. I think there's a PDF version out there too. I think I got it off of Scribd or something. I have to go back and look. I'll let you guys know later. But yeah, has that. I think it's called The History of Risen and Fallen Angels by Gustav Davidson. So if anybody wants to write that down, please do. Okay. See, this was an interesting one. Italian tomato farmers in the 60s were shooting at an unmarked aircraft they suspected were behind the drought. I have to check into that. I vaguely remember somebody talking about this. It could have been somebody on Skywatch TV many years ago. I can't remember, but I remember someone talking about that. Can't remember who, but they were. Oh yeah, I forgot to announce it since I'm so tired. Please like the video, subscribe, and share so we can get the numbers up. There's Fireside Grace. Yes, it's easier to control the world when they have to rely on you for everything. The NWO or NOW, a New Order of the World 101. You're right. That's what it's about. That's what the Luciferian mindset is, to rely on them who give you freedom. Work brings freedom. You'll be free. You will own nothing, be happy, but you'll own nothing. And oh yeah, they got the Apple goggles they're going to release in the metaverse world. You can plug them in and you don't have to leave. I did this a show on this a couple years ago. You don't have to leave your house. You sit in your metaverse world and take your vacations. Now what I said a year or 2 years ago is now in front page news on the AI goggles, the Apple goggles coming out. In fact, Josh Josh of Epic Times on his show Crossroads recently, this last week, did an episode on this very same thing. These guys are a little behind the times, but, well, what can I say? But at least they're getting the word out so more people can understand what these goggles are meant for. Live in your 15-minute cities in your little cubicle, in your little apartment. You own nothing. You'll be happy. And you can take vacations anywhere you want to go surf. You're controlled. You have freedom. You broke down the walls and barriers. Look where it got you. You got your metaverse glasses. You can go to the different planets. You can create your own world. You can have your AI girlfriends and boyfriends. Yeah, the motto of Auschwitz was work makes you free. And it was the saddest thing. And so in the occult world, you work at taking over everything to make people free. It is the saddest thing. These things have not changed at all. These entities behind the people, motivating people, teaching people these things. Now the question comes, I'll end it with this because I got to go and I am still road lagged and tired from driving back on Thursday and a Saturday and Friday. This is Saturday. Wow, I am tired and it's snowing outside here in Colorado. But anyway, these people, this don't change. This is how the devil operates. This is how he always has operated. And it's a repeating pattern and cycle. If you know what to look for, you'll see it. And what the thing is that most people don't realize is there are people in the halls of power who know this stuff, and this is what they do. And you have several levels, at least the top 3 levels, possibly 4 levels, know what they're doing. The upper echelon know more than what the other 3 levels or 2 levels it is. But anyone below that doesn't know. So it's plausible deniability that, oh, this is just conspiracy theory. No, it's conspiracy fact. But you have the elites on power trips who attend schools of theosophy. I just want to be gentle here. And I've been studying this too. I've been getting things from academia on theosophy, modern equivalents, and I quoted Sarah McKinney 2010 report the other day. I can only do small clips because of I can't quote the whole thing. And other ones, I have other writings that talk about the war that went on in theosophy. Well, not really a war, it's planned opposition. You have like 3 or 4 schools of it. And basically you have the White Lodge and the Dark Lodge, white magic versus black magic side. And they're debating this war. It says, don't call theosophy the occult. And then they go on down the page, but it is. It's good white magic. And it's double talk. I'm listening in their own writings, debating this stuff, and they write reports and their stuff. And I get that. I'm reading it. I'm going, yeah. They're using this thesis, antithesis to get synthesis. Same thing in there. They're doing this to themselves, and they're working together. It's controlled opposition, and this is how the game is played. And so that's what you have. You have people who know exactly what they're doing, initiating. The whole idea is initiate everybody into theosophy, the New Age. Go back to the New Age movement in the 60s, which was the precursor. 1625, the conservative elements were winning out. And it looked like the occult world was going to be beat back in 1625 and all this death and destruction. But that was necessary so they can resurge later. And that came about by the 1960s. Oh, I'm digressing here, but and we saw that in the 1960s in the Vietnam War year and here, the New Age movement, the Christ consciousness. In fact, if you listen to Steve Green and some of the old clips of Steve Green, he talks about the Christ consciousness can't save you. The New Age movement was big coming back then. Alice Bailey stuff was big. Saul Alinsky was big. All these other people, various levels and degrees were real big and died out. And as Alice Bailey says, it will infiltrate the church. and by the turn of the century it would be pretty well established in the church, which happened. I've been through this too many times in my older videos. Go back and watch those. About Alice Bailey, all that. You'll get a earful. Well, I don't know. I know I can read you on Facebook. I can't see your name, but it says Facebook user. Try to tell people this and post it on various different social media sites and get the nastiest responses and call it conspiracy theorists. This is conspiracy fact. Adolf Hitler had a conspiracy to overthrow the Weimar Republic. Germans, the Kaiser in World War I, conspired with Vladimir Lenin and other Marxists in Mensheviks and the Bolsheviks in Russia to overthrow the Tsar. That is, conspiracies do happen. There was a conspiracy to get rid of Abraham Lincoln during the Civil War. There was a conspiracy to get rid of number 45. This is conspiracy fact, and that's how I would approach those people. This is conspiracy fact. You're saying all conspiracies are fake? What about the Kaiser and Vladimir Lenin and the Bolsheviks and the Mensheviks, how they overthrew the Tsar? Was that conspiracy theory or conspiracy fact? I throw it back in their face. I do it in a nice way, but in a firm way. You're going to have to make up your mind on this. How else can you explain this? How can you explain the altering of children being normalized? How can you explain what you're seeing in the world? Conspiracy theory or conspiracy fact? Wake up. That's what I would tell them. And some people, they just won't get it no matter what you say. Just let them go. Don't even bother with them. And you're right, too. There's no white or dark magic. It's all bad. This is sorcery. And I talk about the two-pillared system, or the three-pillared system, actually, and the ladder of initiation in the background. Imagery that in the Masonic Lodge has. But anyway, so you have the two-pillar system, the pillar of mercy and goodness and truth, and you have the pillar of severity and justice, the dark pillar. White Lodge, Black Lodge, good, bad. Put the two together, create a synthesis, and that's all it is. It's all bad. Creates a synthesis so the shining one can exalt his throne above God. He's not going to do it. He's not going to be successful by a long shot. That's the plan, through synthesis. You have thesis, antithesis. You make this pyramid shape. And so you have a pyramid. I'm borrowing from T.I.K. History. He did a good, I should put that in the description too. And you have this thing here, this Gnostic thought. So you have thesis, antithesis, and to reach a synthesis at the top of the period. And you have to have conflict to do it. So once you reach the synthesis, that synthesis will have to be another pyramid, and another pyramid, and another, and you keep going up. In Theosophy, they have 7 root race races of evolutionary development of humanity. Each of those stages are subdivided into 7 stages. The first stages is represented in blindness, and it's 7 stages to initiate humanity, how to get to the last 7th stage of evolutionary development to become a pure spirit being at the 7th ray of initiation. Probably makes no sense to you people, but that's Theosophy. That's their plan. So it's this constant thesis, antithesis going on and on and on. And if they fail to arrive there, they keep repeating the cycle over and over again until they succeed, which they won't. But I'm just saying that's their mindset. We have entered into the 6th root race stage. H.P. Blavatsky says there'll be no more America and no more Europeans. There'll be a new race that are going to lead all other races into a new world of utopic, beautiful order, a managed world. And everything's free. You have equity, inclusiveness, and sustainability. Those are the buzzwords. Alice Bailey used the words inclusiveness, managed, and Theosophists use the word managed world, just like Klaus Schwab does. If you listen to the language, you understand what they're saying, you'll hear it coming out of Mr. Schwab's own mouth. You hear it coming out of the mouth of his little his mini-me, his little, what do you call him, Noah Harari. You'll hear it from him. And the demonic world is all about altering what it means to be human. Altering what it means to be human. Okay, he goes, a lot of occultism is in pop culture back then, and it still is. And I just want to bring that up because that's the stages of initiation. Through music, you take over the industry, you take over, you control what people hear. Through behavior modification, Pavlov's dog, we're all dogs. We ring the bell, we'll salivate. And also they talk about, Alice Bailey said that it's through the use of psychology will be the new science in order for reach the theosophic dream of a perfect world state where we all get back to pure spirit being. This is all pure Gnosticism, Hermeticism. Those are the two of the oldest recorded written things we have of the ancient pagan religions. It goes back then. And then you look at it, you study the ancient pagan gods, it matches that as well. It's a pyramid conspiracy. That'd be a good name for something, a pyramid conspiracy. It's a pyramid scheme in all walks of society, culture, economy, politics. You got it. What is it? The hierarchy of needs is in shape of a pyramid, isn't it? Well, I am really tired, and I'm kind of going to... You guys be blessed in Jesus' name, and it was good to be back here. I'll get some rest. My mom is in the end of life stage, so I may not be here next week. I hope I can have a video done in time before that. I may not. I may just have to. I'll let you know. I'd have to cancel it. I know nobody gets I advertise it like in the community, and very few people get the notification. Go figure. You can figure out why. If that happens, I'll let you know. But I just do not know what tomorrow will bring because I know I'll have to go back and help my sister out and all that with all the things that you have to do. And yeah, it's hard to see your somebody you grew up with called your mom, and you was a good mom, a very good mom, probably one of the best moms the world anybody could ever have, and a Christian lady, and she was in what is known as for Bible Study Fellowship International. She has a thing called the Explorers Group. I think that was the name of it. And they would get the lessons that the rest of Bible Study International Fellowship would give out to everybody else. They would be practiced on and what questions would work and not. So she was implementing and helping them brainstorm how to make the lessons for the main study that I would show a year later to 2 years later better. And so that's what my mom did. I brought a book back I found a book on hers. She must have been working on it recently before she got this way. She can't even function now, but it was Dr. David Jeremiah's sign book. And it has a study thing, and she has all these things written out in it. So I want to go back and read what she wrote. Interesting. Yeah. I know that when she passes, I will see her again in heaven. And it's a good thing to know my dad's there. He passed away 2007. And my dad and my mom are part of the greatest generation, folks. When the greatest generation got too old, all hell broke loose in 2008. By whom? His name was Barack Hussein Obama and the Demonic National Committee. With that, you guys be blessed. I'm heading out. So God bless you all.